Wow, I'm somehow taller than your legs while sitting. Oh, hell yeah, look at me. All right. Okay. This is Ghost Hunters Season 1, Episode 5, Eastern State Penitentiary. This is probably the number one must-watch episode of the first season. Here we go.
I already don't want to watch this. You've ruined it for me.
Right on time.
Here's Carl.
Not as cool as Keith.
But here, the case. We've got Eastern State Penitentiary.
Not only for the TV show, but in the past, I think even as Brian stated, they're used to doing houses and the occasional lighthouse or something. But being able to go to one of these really large prisons that's been abandoned for a long time is a totally different experience for them all.
I guess early on in the show, yeah, that is his reputation on the line, but like...
Yeah, they'd only just started TV, and it's just a lot to go. Yeah.
Tango, Alpha, Papa, Sierra, Taps!
I think when the show started in 2004, they had made Taps, and I think it was 1990, so it took 14 years before they had someone approach them for something like this. I want to buy a thermal camera at some point.
I want to go ghost hunting.
Yeah, let's team up and buy a thermal camera, and let's go ghost hunting with it.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, I can see you in them as you go by.
Yeah, so this is where they start to get this thermal camera, and they're having to test a ton of things because, as they'll learn in later episodes, things randomly reflect when you least expect it, and they also reflect heat, which is super interesting.
By now, you know it's too difficult to trust a kid.
That's the last time you'll see Brian Bell. He's out.
Bye, Brian. You made it 3 episodes.
Let's go, G.
Let's go, G.
It's messing with us. Grant, never know. It might not even know we're here.
I like that Jason says that.
They
Might not even know we're here. Change his tone a bit on the orbs.
He no longer likes orbs.
He's, I think, still once in a while in the coming episodes or in the next couple seasons, he'll try to latch on to 1 or 2. But he does start to present less and less, and it just turns into Brian for the most part.
But
And some of the new people.
Orbs.
There we go. So they don't even really, on this one, reveal... They don't have a reveal on this episode.
Yeah, I was surprised that there wasn't a lot more of that revealing stuff.
Yeah. Andy comes back for the next one, by the way.
Hello, and welcome to Spirits
And Skeptics!
Little cuties right next to our little sign and everything.
Oh, yeah. Look how tiny I am. I feel just at home.
We're growing up. We're becoming better podcasters.
Oh, slowly but surely we will become the ultimate podcasters. No one can challenge us.
Nothing. Nobody. Not even the Joe Rogans.
I don't see Joe Rogan with a little white dog. Where's he at?
Well, don't all UFC fighters have like little tiny dogs like Chihuahuas?
Do they really? That'd be adorable.
No, I just thought that would be really cute.
Alright, anyway, go ahead.
So we are now on episode 5 of Ghost Hunters, the Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, what an episode.
It was great. It was fantastic. It was genuinely like, this was the most like, I felt like the format was ready for it and willing to like work around working at this place.
Yeah, this was a big step up for the Taps team. You know, now that they've got a TV network, they're 5 episodes in, the production team is starting to get their format all set up. They have the pre-investigation, they have the investigation, they have the analysis, and then the reveal. But on this episode, we didn't get a reveal section, actually. That was that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was actually confused. I was genuinely thinking, well, how much time do they have left? They haven't even revealed anything, and then it just never happened.
Yeah, so basically the analysis became the review because I don't know if they were called in by the people that run the Eastern State Penitentiary at the time. I don't know if they were actually asking for any proof of evidence or whether the place is actually haunted. They just wanted to have the Taps team come in because for them, this is a whole new setting. You know, they've mostly gone to houses before and helped people that needed help or to explain things away that they couldn't come up with themselves. Or once in a while, they'll go to the lighthouse on occasion. But this is the first time they go to either like a sanatorium, a penitentiary, a big open space where there's been some crazy history.
Yeah, they started going through the history immediately in the show, and they were talking about all the different, like, Al Capone was there.
Yeah, he was there for 8 months, and he had a luxury suite by the time he left.
He had a chair just like the cute little soft chairs we're in.
Yeah, he did. Oh man.
Speaking of Al Capone, our spirit for tonight, I don't have it, but I'm gonna pretend that I have moonshine because of Al Capone.
I have water.
Wow, this whiskey really tastes like really tastes like moonshine. Ugh.
God, that's a flavor and a half. Moonshine.
Why don't you start this one off? Where did we start this episode off?
Where do we start this episode off?
Yeah, where did we start this episode 5?
Wasn't it just in the Taps trailer? So okay, wait a minute. Did I explain the Taps trailer yet to anybody? To the Spirits and Skeptics podcast? Just really quick, 10 seconds. The Taps trailer is in the backyard of Jason Hawes' home. As far as I'm aware, that's where it was.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it's just his backyard. That's the Taps trailer.
That's hilarious. Tango, Alpha, Papa, Sierra. I remembered.
There you go. You got it. So what should I go over then? If I'm starting this one off, how do I do this? Teach the young dog what to do.
Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna do it again. It's gonna be me controlling this podcast.
I gotta learn.
So we started, like you said, in the Taps trailer. They were explaining where they were gonna go and some of the history of it, and they were all kind of excited. I actually really liked this beginning where they were like, "Hey, the gang's all here."
Yes, the excitement, the palpable excitement of finally getting outside of people's homes and into this massive penitentiary.
The Eastern State Diarrhea. I did think it was very funny that I can't remember if it was right away before they got in there or as they got there. They were talking about death row, and Jason just screamed, "Awesome!"
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. It was really funny.
Oh, there are some things that I just either forget or I don't notice. And I'm glad that you're watching along, because you'll notice the things that I just, for some reason, completely tune out. Like that one.
I had a lot of fun with this episode. There was genuinely so much stuff that happened. They go through a lot of the history of the place, and they start talking. They actually get testimonials from a lot of the people that are working there of like their own experiences, and I really like that. That was something that they haven't really done since the baby.
Since the baby. Wait, so this was the first. Again, I'm really glad that you are watching this along so that I can actually see things that they haven't done. Oh, you're right, because they've gone to homes before.
Yeah, well, the last time they did it at the home, which was the first episode, then they did it at the baby painting. And then
like a business,
and then this episode. It's almost like every other episode they've been doing it.
Okay. Yeah, now that you say that makes sense. Yes. When they're at homes, they really just interview the homeowner. Mm-hmm. Later seasons they'll ask people who know the homeowner that have had experiences supposedly at the homeowner's home, and they'll interview them about a couple of questions too. But I honestly didn't even catch it that in the first season it's literally just the homeowners that they'll interview, and then when they're at the lighthouse or here at Eastern State, that's when they'll actually interview other people, like the employees of the location. Okay, so yeah, that's something I didn't even notice yet.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like that. There was a older guy that was saying that he almost directly had an experience with something that was like on top of him. Basically, he said that it was right behind him.
Yeah, wow, that would be terrifying. Cool. I got a question for you about this, actually.
Sure, Chan.
We're skeptics. If you were to go and want to have your first experience, would you want to go to some big place like this, or just somebody's home who claims it's haunted?
I would love to go to something big, something bigger.
Okay,
You know.
I'm glad. That's how I feel too. If I wanted to go somewhere to experience it for the first time, I want to go, and for me, it'd be somewhere where the ghost hunters have been, and somewhere that is basically, how do I put this? It has a long history to it. It's got enough stories, but it looks broken down enough where they're not really able to set things up
There
and
is.
possibly fake it.
Yeah. Have you ever been into any haunted places or anything that they said was haunting?
Have I? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever gone to any place that's supposedly haunted myself. No.
So I drove up all the way up to the Great Lake Superior, and
Mm-hmm.
on there they have a haunted ship like walkthrough, which they turn into a scary house or haunted house like walkthrough thing, which is super cute. You walk through and they have like actors like doing the scary bits and stuff. I was really wanting to do like the haunted tour or whatever, but that was like a lot more money past like just seeing the goofy people acting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will never forget that place because they had one room where they had like fake gore on a big table or whatever, and they sprayed it with some stuff that made it actually smell like rot, and it was the worst thing in the world.
Jesus. I hate that you can even like say that you noticed that they did that where it was just fake spray stuff because it takes away from the whole.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel bad for the Taps team because the whole point is they want to bring credibility to the field, but by doing so, their main focus is on disproving the haunting first, kind of thing, and then you just get a bunch of, you get locations that just fake it, just to get some tickets sold or whatever, and it just takes away from it to me. Anyway.
So yeah, there was we then get into they do a lot of this episode really felt like they did a lot of staging before they actually went into the penitentiary, or they went into the penitentiary, but it was like before they actually set up anything, they had a lot of staging of like where they're going, what they're doing, what they're planning to get into this episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It being the first time that they're at a huge place like this, it's a whole different beast for them to get their equipment set up and how and where they need to set it up. And apparently there's reports everywhere in the building, if I'm recalling correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But as we found out, most of it at least took place in cell block 12, which is, I'm sure that's why they focused on that area for the re-investigation of the episode. But I don't want to get too far ahead of that right now. But the staging, yes, there was a lot of staging, a lot of preparing, more team member drama. Gotta have some of that for the first season, mid-2000s television programming.
Yeah, gotta get in trouble with all of your friends and coworkers.
Exactly. Brian Bell, I think, was the primary suspect this episode with Brian Arnois' dude, run! Never forget that.
Brian Bell is the taller guy.
Yep, he's the taller one. The one who doesn't always talk about finding orbs on photographs and video evidence. He was their tech guy for the first bit of season 1, essentially.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they had a lot more like going into it, and that made me happy. And it was like just a drama episode. It felt like it was kind of a B plot to the actual A plot, which was the investigation. This one actually felt like it was really something going on rather than it just shoehorned in like the other episodes kind of felt like it.
Yep. I really like the use of the music on this episode too, because I think this was either the first or the second episode where they had my favorite song that plays. Other than the bloop song, but I don't think we've encountered the bloop song yet, so I don't want to spoil my favorite bloop song.
Your bloop song.
This song that played on this episode has that piano, and then they're discussing. Jason and Grant kind of are discussing things as stuff is happening, or they're seeing things around them. Really, just the investigation on this one. takes an unexpected turn of events where they're not even really able to disprove. I don't even think in this episode, tell me if you recall it, but did they even disprove anything in this episode or no?
They did not, no. I was gonna kind of get into that later because that was super interesting to me, is that they really couldn't fight a lot of the stuff that they were working with.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, just having such a vast location, and then you're. I mean, Grant Wilson at the beginning of the episode, because they brought on a new member for this investigation, and they wanted to train her to be a better investigator for TAPS. So they brought her along, and Grant was going along with her and talking about how you got to not try to let the locations that you're investigating, especially one with such a history behind it, like this place, to affect you and your ability to stay on your toes, remain vigilant, and do what you need to do to get to the bottom of whatever's happening at the location that they're at. And it's just this episode was definitely a strong first test for a new member. And I think that she did a much better job than some of the more supposedly veteran investigators on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was very funny seeing Grant do that speech, and he was going off about how, like, we gotta keep it professional. There are some things that you're not gonna know, and we're gonna work through it with you, but these are the things that we're working on. This is the things that we're doing. We don't run away. We want to keep it professional. This is our work on the line sometimes, especially at a big place like this. And he's like, and then he goes, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. He did not say that, but all I could think of is he was a Ghostbuster right there, just screaming, I'm afraid of no ghosts.
He even mentioned after Brian Arnois, and I don't know the other guy's name. I think he's only shown in this episode. But they're going to take photographs, and Grant and Jason believe that because they're in the dark and their camera is flashing every time they take a photograph, that the shadow that they thought they saw walk in front of them was actually just their eyes playing a trick on them as they're snapping bright lights in the middle of a dark environment. And there could have just been some shadow play going on rather than it being actually something paranormal.
Yeah.
Leading to the dude run at a perfect opportunity where Grant was just saying we don't run out of locations because it looks bad on us. So, it's just what a perfect setup for this episode. Oh, man.
It was really funny because just before he did that, right? Just before Grant had that conversation, just before he did that, Brian actually made me like him slightly. This episode, where at least I felt bad for him, because he was just like, I feel like I'm getting the brunt end of the stick sometimes. Like, I'm not even doing something wrong. I mess up a little bit and I get fucking reamed. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sad. And then 2 seconds later, he does something literally stupid.
Yep. That's why he gets reamed so hard, is because when he does something bad, he tries to deflect it or just doesn't really take it to heart. At least that's what we were getting to see on the camera side of things. And of course, the other thing is that he doesn't seem to learn from those mistakes either, even if he says that he's going to put in the time to do that. So it's hard for Jason and Grant, or especially Jason, I should say, to trust him when he says he's going to improve his situation or whatnot. And there's going to be a little bit more of that in season 2 for sure.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to root for him. Like, I could see where people could really like him, but it seems like it's very hard to root for the guy sometimes.
He has a lot of passion, but he doesn't have, I shouldn't say, because I'm not quite sure what word to use right now, but all I know is that he has a lot of passion, and there were parts of him that I'm sure would have generated fans of just who he was. But
oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I actually also really like the introduction of the new people, like you were saying. She actually was a good conduit for them to explain one of their, what they're doing. And one of the things that they did is they explained one of their machines, walking with her and showing her how to do it and what it tests and stuff. And that was good for the audience as well to know where that was going.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Brain just had my sentence and then I lost it. Essentially, oh, here it is. Okay, so the first few episodes, I'm not quite sure if this is real or not. Not 100%, but I'm assuming that they had recorded that within a span of a few weeks. And then all the episodes following were more spaced apart as they usually are, as they go to different locations.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, what that is, or means in this particular situation, is they didn't really have time to explain anything, or weren't quite sure if the show would last past the pilot to even make it worth their time to start explaining things. But once they reach episode 5 and they get invited to this huge location where other people usually can't go, as you saw, they had to open certain gates to let them in, and it just this is a more lockdown location, and to get here, you really need to be. It's not like going to someone's home. And just like with the Coast Guard episode, they need to be invited by pretty reputable organizations to be able to get into these kinds of places. So I think this is when it started to feel kind of real for them. And then they understood, okay, well, maybe we need to explain a little bit more what we're doing than just like, ooh, spooky ghosts. We're going to go in and go try to find some.
Yeah, this episode felt like they were really excited for, and they were trying their best to be the best versions of themselves for this for the shoot.
Yes,
and
that's where it just where the members, the shortcoming with Brian Bell and Brian Arnois and the other guy running it, just I could see physically on them that they were a little deflated about that.
Yeah. Well, when Brian's T-posing, like floating, sprinting across the... when Jason said, "Oh, he's like not even touching the ground," and I watched it, he was like T-posing, and I was like, "Oh no!" He pressed V.
Gary's the Dr. Kleiner model T-posing as he's holding shift and sprinting, his little fizz gun coming out of his pelvis region.
100%. Well, with that, we also get Big Brian, kind of not holding up his end of the bargain, working here this night. He kind of like leaves multiple times throughout the night, and
Brian Bell.
They end up telling him off, basically. And I heard from you that this is the last time we see Brian?
If I recall correctly, I don't think he's going to make much of an appearance in future episodes. In fact, I don't think he even makes it to season 2. I can't say for certain, even though I watched the show a lot, because after this episode, if you watch it in order, the show, instead of just randomly and sporadically, as I also do sometimes, is when you follow the course of the show, for me, I tend to follow how the atmosphere is with all the members, and after this episode, he just feels like he's either no longer present, or he's just relegated to such a third-tier position in the show that it's not even important anymore. And I honestly do believe that Jason forces Grant's hand and has Brian Bell dismissed because of just the consistency in his inability to listen or follow instruction, essentially.
Yeah. And then when they started talking about packing up for the first night and being like, okay, this is going to be us going through all the evidence and everything, our loving Brian screams, "Hell's yes."
Brian starts Arnois, our ghost orb guy.
Our Orby boy.
Our Gorby boy Arnois, all right. He's excited at this one, isn't he? He starts really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
man. It seems like all of them were even Jason at the end when they were packing up the first one. He said that I'm pretty confident we're gonna find something.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's such a location with what was this place? 1829 was when it was built.
Yeah.
So it's a very old location. 30-foot high walls. It's got that really imposing Gothic architecture to it, and you've got. I'm looking at the fandom page as well here. It says there were 80,000 inmates that were housed throughout the penitentiary's history, and it had some death row inmates as well. So I think it makes sense that the excitement was very palpable for all of them, and
Yeah.
Jason especially, knowing he's we're gonna get something tonight. It just happens to be because of the location's history. Just it's a spooky place. I would be spooked to go in there. Are you kidding?
I'd take a nap. I'd take a nap in there.
Take a nap in there. Just take a nap in the rotunda.
Oh yeah, right in the middle.
You want to go to cell 666 and just take a rest on that night's rusty bed?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would want. They had a good time going through the evidence. And do you want to explain some of the evidence?
Yeah, actually, I before we even get to the main piece, because this is what this episode is most well known for. Well, there's two things that this episode is most well known for. We already went over, dude, run! That was a big one. Evidence on this episode was actually pretty sparse. Now, that's not to say there wasn't good evidence here, supposedly. The skeptic in me, of course, still, I don't know. But anyway, while Brian Arnois and Steve Gonzalez are going through the evidence, I think it was Steve that said, I was expecting more from this place because they're going through everything and they're basically just getting nothing. They have no audio evidence. They barely found anything on video. The photographs that they took, Jason and Grant shot those down absolutely immediately because, dude, you have an orange ball on the photograph and you're taking a picture basically through an orange grate bar thing, like a fence, chain link fence, essentially. You're taking a picture through that. Of course, every time I look at the scene since 2018, when I remember watching the NVIDIA demonstration of ray tracing capabilities and how light diffuses onto objects as the shadows and the light bounces off of that. That's basically what runs through my head every time I see that with that light anomaly that they're seeing in the photograph, where it's just moisture in the air or a piece of dust. But now I'll get into it. The big piece. Mm-hmm. So I think it was at somewhere around 12 to 1 a.m. They apparently had everyone accounted for. It was dinner time for them on the investigation. Even the people that were working at the facility were not in the facility at this time. They capture on a piece of video evidence a supposed apparition that manifests or comes up towards the camera, and then you can see like a leg come out the backside, and then it just darts back down the hallway, and it just kind of disappears after a little bit. That's a big, shocking piece of evidence.
So, to you, is that what you see with it? Because I felt like some of the people had different interpretations of what it looked like.
Well, tell me about these different interpretations first. Or tell us, I should say.
Brian immediately thought of it as almost like somebody was sitting up and then ran. Grant seemed to think that it was almost like appearing and then ran away. Mm-hmm. And Jason took it as somebody walking closer and then running away. Okay, so
I'm glad you actually caught on to the three different ways that all. So as you probably heard, if I'm looking at the original video, mm-hmm. I would go with what Grant said, because it looks like it just forms there in front of this bar. So I should explain real quick that Brian correctly noticed that like 3 to 5 bars, I think it's 4 to 5 bars down actually, one of them is reflecting some light off of it back to the camera, and mm-hmm. you can see as this thing approaches or forms in front of this bar, it obscures that light source. So you can't see it anymore because it's in front of it and between it and the camera. And then when it dashes down the hallway, you can see this white leg, it looks like, kind of form in the back. And down where you would expect to find someone's leg at, and running away. That's when you see that light return as it starts dashing down this corridor. When they send in the evidence to get improved, such as amplifying the light around the area and everything, that's when I think ultimately when I see that piece of evidence, I follow along more with what Jason says. But it's hard to say for certain because they had such a low quality camera at this time. But what it does look like is that this thing either is moving towards the camera and is forming just like a cloud in the air that's starting to form from nothing as moisture and things, whatever. It kind of looks like it's doing that, obscuring the metal bar, and then it runs down this hallway.
Yeah,
that's to me what it looks like, and you don't really see the shape of the body at least until it's right before it starts sprinting, and then you get this like glimpse of like a leg coming out of the void, running away, and you can still see the foot for a couple of steps, and then it's not there, and it's like, what even is this? Is this like something captured, stuck in time, where it just repeats like a record player every once in a while? Or maybe this thing is intelligent, as I don't know if they've discussed this yet, but this intelligent and repetitive hauntings essentially is what they claim. And who knows what this one is? But to me, it reminds me of what these guys often describes as the more repetitive type of haunting, where for some reason this thing just wants to repeat itself running down a hallway once in a while.
Yeah. To me, it definitely looked like what Jason was going for. To me, it looked like something walked into frame, turned around, and sprinted. At least that's how I felt it looked like.
I will agree with, I can't remember if it was Grant or Brian that noticed it, though. You don't actually see it. It doesn't look like it physically turns around. It looks like it's approaching, and then it just reverses instantly. There's no 180 degree, and then it starts running away, and things like that. And I don't know. It's a real. I think that piece of evidence, supposedly, it's quite captivating in a way where it does leave you questioning if you trust the show and the people on it. I do personally. It's not that I believe in the ghost, but I trust at least Jason and Grant to provide some decent evidence of things. And this one I find a little difficult to explain away. So it's really strange, though. It really is.
It definitely is. It's a lot of fun because I genuinely don't know what to take of it. As a skeptic, I don't believe it's a ghost, but I don't know what I would say it isn't. It is, because I don't know what it isn't. I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad that they at least had someone try to emulate it by putting some weird cloak over them and then
oh my god, that
going up to the camera,
mad.
running up to the camera and then running away from it. But I think Brian was probably the worst option of them to do that.
I was gonna say, before we get into them coming back to recreate it, I loved the little segment of Jason walking in to Brian working and Jason just congratulating him and saying, "You did a good job." It really did feel like you can see that family element more in that moment.
Was that a human enough experience to...
Yeah, Jason is a human.
Yeah, it was a nice touching scene, actually. Brian needs some compliments every here and there, I think. I mean, it doesn't change my opinion on the guy. He's got a lot of issues, and he had a lot of issues at least at the time.
I didn't think about this until just now, but in the investigations and going through the research, or going through all the evidence and stuff, Brian's kind of fucking doing it all. Like, he's doing a lot.
Well, he is tech lead at this time.
He's doing all of the investigations. He's going out, talking, and getting, like, trying to find ghosts and everything. So he's at the site doing all that stuff. And then he goes home, and then he's going through every single ounce of the research, or every single ounce of the investigation and trying to find evidence. So he's doing almost extra of the work, more than Jason or any of them.
Yeah, the big reason for that is, I believe it's mentioned earlier in the season here, but Brian's unemployed at this time.
Yeah, he lost his job the first episode.
So for him, this TV gig is basically his whole income source, essentially. I don't know how much they would have earned for doing this, and if it was shared among the whole TAPS team, but I'll agree with you. He's pulling his weight, at least as best as he can. He's pulling his weight despite his shortcomings at this time. He's trying, and he does say in the episode he gives his all to TAPS, and it shows. He's passionate for the field. He's passionate about this kind of thing. So yeah, he's definitely pulling his weight with Steve. Him and Steve, I think, right now are kind of the secondary duo to Jason and Grant, who, for some reason this season, either aren't followed that frequently during their investigation. I kind of get, real quick, Jason and Grant, you ever been to a dental office and you have the person that actually like cleans your teeth and everything and whatever, and then you got like the head dental person who like comes up and
So you're
says hi,
talking about
just like
the dental nurse and the dental doctor is what you're
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, she just comes in, like the doctor just comes in for a minute, opens your mouth, and is like, "Yeah, okay, your teeth are fine," or "Okay, I can see what you're talking about." Other dental person, where this person's got a cavity in this area. Okay, we'll do this, this, and that. Done. Okay, that's what Jason and Grant remind me of. They're like they're called in to a certain part, or they just want to go check on a certain part when it feels like the best time for them to do that, or if somebody needs their assistance. Like, they're right on it when Brian Arnois and the other guy come running back after the run. They go straight into there. And then we get to see the after part where they come back, and then they have to have a talk with Brian. Like, you don't do this. You don't go running out of the investigation.
I think we're in agreement with that. We love this. We love this going on. And into the next part, they go back. They go back and they're like, okay, we're spending 2 more nights here.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time on this first episode during the investigation in this place. A lot of time. And everyone looks tired, too. That scene before the reinvestigation in the morning, dude, they look beat.
Oh, yeah. they were driving far.
So much driving. I think even at this time, they were still going through the evidence for the first investigation of that location. So Brian and Steve also were pretty exhausted from sifting through hours and hours of audio and video evidence.
Yeah, they were finding more evidence while they were there too.
I don't know if this is in your notes, but I think this is the first episode where we get the thermal camera, right?
Oh, I don't know. I did like the thermal camera thing. Oh, yes, probably, because I think they said in the last episode they were going to get it.
Okay, so I wanted to mention this because it's kind of we've just talked about the investigations part at the very least. So I do want to say real quick that this episode is probably the number one you should watch this for season 1. And we've already explained a few of the reasons why. There's the video evidence. There's the Brian running. These are Brian running, by the way, is a meme if you're within the niche of the ghost hunters genre, essentially, or the whatever it is of the paranormal stuff. It's a meme, and it's still mentioned by Jason Hawes on his YouTube channel on occasion. I'm not kidding. He still does it. It's hilarious. But another big part of this episode is this is the first time that they use a video evidence, or maybe it's not evidence, sorry, but it's the first time that they have video captured using a thermal camera. And it's imperative that they take the time to use this piece of equipment and understand how it works. And one of the big things that they learned this episode when using it is the heat signatures on a thermal imaging camera do actually reflect the heat off of reflective surface. Like, it'll show the heat of the person on the reflecting surface. And that is going to be very important in coming episodes. And I don't even know if the show purposefully planned this out, if they had already pre-recorded several episodes ahead of this. But it's these kinds of understandings that you get to see in real time as the show starts in season 1, as it continues to go on here, is you get to see them learn how to use these new pieces of equipment that they get, and the quirks and anomalies when they're actually using them. Also the cat. That was cool to see the cat on the thermal.
The cat, yeah.
Well, that's what I had to say on that piece.
This is, to me, or I guess I'll get into my rating later, but it seemed like they got into the second place and they were having a lot of fun, like coming back and doing all this. They were very tired, like you were saying, but they were extremely excited to come back because they wanted to find more evidence, and it seemed like they were going to find more evidence, but then they didn't show us anything.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much because they do come back to this location again. But unfortunately, yes, I don't think on the second half they actually captured any more evidence other than just have more personal experiences with the shadow play that Jason and Grant had and their discussion on. I do think I talked to you about this quote momentarily during the episode when we were watching it. Was Jason and Grant says something about maybe if they notice us and that's why they're letting us know that they're there. And then Jason, I thought, had a really philosophical way of approaching this and saying, maybe they have no idea that we're even here.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just literally just doing their own thing and they can't see us or they can't interact with us in this particular place. Who knows? I thought that was just kind of cool. I think it added to the mystery.
It was great. There's so much going on in this episode that I genuinely want to like get into. Even like going back, I really want to get into every moment of this because there were so many good things, like that moment with Jason saying maybe they just don't know that we're even here. Maybe they're just going about their day. I had never thought of that. If there is ghosts or something, maybe they don't necessarily interact with us because that's not what they're looking for. They don't even notice that we're there.
Yeah, and it's in my opinion that if they were to exist, it could be location dependent as well. Maybe there's something about each location has a different way, and maybe it's the type of spirit or whatever. But again, I, having not had any personal experiences, at least anything significant and beyond just things I can't explain, but doesn't mean it is a ghost type thing. It's just, I don't know. It's all just interesting to me, and I just really liked hearing Jason's point on that, his idea of what's happening, at least in this particular location. And secondly, too, the amount of stuff in this episode, it absolutely was astounding. So much that either they couldn't get to the reveal, or I think it was that the people that ran the place weren't looking for a reveal type thing, because it's it's an abandoned building. They're kind of it's creepy to them, whatever. But also, there is an inkling in the back of my mind, like, maybe they just didn't have time to cram it in because they had to do so much with this episode. Where that the whole point, by the way, on coming back for the second investigation was to put a tarp or something over Brian and have him try to run down a hallway. That was the huge point.
I was gonna talk about that. That made me so mad. He was like complaining the whole time. Bro, just go out there. Just go out there and run.
Yeah, he needs that. Yes, exactly. He just needs to try. Because if he doesn't try, then it just gives people like us more fuel to say, like, oh, well, he didn't try hard enough. It probably is someone that just cared more to fake some evidence.
Goofy.
Absolutely goofy.
The next big thing that I have in my notes, you will have a really good time with this one.
Okay.
Gonads.
He doesn't have the gonads to talk with me. Oh, yeah. Yes. Do you have, before I get onto it, what do you need to say?
That was all I wrote, really. But I just thought it was very fun. I really think that Jason and Grant are polar opposites, but they are really, at least in these earlier episodes, are very necessary to have both sides of the argument.
Yeah. Trying to figure out how I should phrase it. It's Jason and Grant's dichotomy is such an interesting part of how TAPS operates internally, because the whole point of their creation of TAPS is bringing forward to the world either evidence of paranormal or to just mainstream it. They just want to, because they have their own experiences and it's something they are passionate about, which is totally fine. And I thought, I shouldn't say I think. It's that...
You think?
Yeah, sorry. My brain is running on overdrive here, and I'm stepping ahead of my phrases here. I can't believe I think, by the way. That's disgusting.
That's gross.
But as I'm trying to say here, it's hard for TAPS to have this underlying modus operandi for how they go about at an investigation, because there's no concrete way, there's no established way of how this type of thing should actually be executed. It's not like a program, a computer program that is programmed in a very specific way, and that's exactly how it's going to work every single. That's not how they're able to approach this field. So you have this dichotomy between Grant and Jason, where one's more understanding, and one's just more like, we got to get things done. We got to help people who need help, and we need to try to explain away things before we can say, okay, this location is haunted. And that goes also into their interactions with the people that are within TAPS. And Brian Arnois here, it seems that he's even been able to take notice that Grant is more of an approachable figure than Jason is. So he always tries to call Grant, and he won't ever call Jason. And Jason is trying to tell Grant, hey, we need to take care of this. I can't believe that they had 2 Brians in this group, and both Brians managed to be this annoying for Jason. And every time, Grant just made it harder for Jason to put up with. I cannot believe it.
Man, fuck Brian. Like, any Brians out there, don't be watching this show. Okay? Get out of here.
Yeah, Brian, you're gonna have a hard time with this show because your fellow Brian just gives us ammo. I'm sorry.
Your fellow Brians are not helping your case, Brian.
But yeah, it's another reason I like this episode so much is because it feels like the culmination of the difference between Jason and Grant, even though they're both, as I described them earlier, as like the dental doctor. You know, they're both really respected within TAPS itself, and in some circles outside of TAPS, depending on your niche. And even though they're highly respected, they're totally different figures in how they approach things. So it can make it very difficult for TAPS internally to operate, and especially Jason, who owns most of the equipment, and Brian's are losing it, or they're not sitting at the post doing their job, and also it makes them just look like an unprofessional hack job crew of people off the street, essentially. I mean, you don't just go over to the place next door. You got to tell someone you got to wash your hands if you really need to wash your hands. And secondly, you don't just spend the time dawdling with women over there as well.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That like our loving ghost orb Brian even called him out. It was like, okay, we don't do this.
And you can just see between the 2 Brians. Brian Arnois does, at least to some degree, try to take it seriously. Brian Bell is just there, I guess. I really don't know what his purpose is other than just to build the website. So at times I even wonder, why does he come along for the investigations?
Insanity. Multitudes of insanity in this episode.
Yeah. It's why I like this episode so much. It's cram-packed full of just, you get their philosophies, you really get to see their, for season 1 this is, also their dichotomies, and really interesting evidence. And just, I don't know. It's really good, though. I like this episode a lot.
Yeah.
Despite it looking like totally unstructured.
Yeah. I mean, it felt structured in a way. It was very scatterbrained, but it did feel like it was better suited for this format, I guess.
It has the hallmarks of a season 1, like an episode on any season 1 of any TV show, but it has the content of a second or third season like episode. It's got enough that's interesting in it.
I had a lot of fun. Speaking of insanity, by the way, how insane do you think you would go if you were in this situation, like going into a prison in the middle of the night and doing an investigation,
doing trying to find evidence of the paranormal?
Yeah.
As long as we're following the rule that TAPS established, where you have at least one other person with you at all times. I mean, it's going to be a scary thought. I'm not like the well-versed TAPS team doing it for 14 years prior to this point, so I'd probably, at this point, I'd definitely be scared. It's not like gallivanting through a really dark building that's run down this much, and cats are roaming around the halls, and it'd be scary. I'll at least admit to that. I think it would get to me to some degree of. Yeah, there's a lot of stories here. Some really bad people were in this place, and it's just got that heavy feeling, Even without being in there, you can just feel like while they're in the building. It's a heavy place.
Oh yeah, I think I would have a ton of fun in a place like that, but I do think that like all the weight of all those things together would really get you feeling some type of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
100%.
think, that kind of goes into what Grant and Jason both saw kind of the same thing at the same time on their investigation.
Hmm.
Walking through, they were seeing things and feeling things at the same time. I wrote down, I can't feel what you're feeling, Grant, but somehow Jason can.
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you actually mentioned this part too. I really preferred the way that Jason explained what he was feeling, because the way Grant said it was, I felt it this way. And Jason was more open to how he described it as, like, imagine yourself, at least the way that I interpret it internally was, I can put myself in that he said it's like being underwater. It's like, okay, I understand what it's like being underwater for a little bit, and that feeling of just being completely surrounded
Mm-hmm.
by something like that. It has a feeling to it, and I know exactly what it was. Easier to interpret that and apply my understanding of that kind of situation into what he was feeling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It felt like he was able to articulate that a lot better.
Thank you. That's a good word. Articulated. Yes.
I like that, and on top of that, this was the moment that both of us kind of picked up on this. Like that, this was the best part of the music too. It was happening in this moment as well.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite tracks on Ghost Hunters. Right there is it the piano, the creepy background, and
Hmm.
it doesn't just leave you feeling like it's a unsettling location, but it also leaves it open to interpretation. I
Yeah,
just love the way that the music sets it up that way.
that music.
It's scary, but
Yeah,
it's inviting.
yeah, it felt very, yeah, like you said, inviting too, because it actually sounded almost exactly like, if I can find it at some point, I can send it to you. There is a specific song in a sci-fi show called Farscape that
Mm-hmm.
sounds exactly the same. Like, has the exact same, like, ramp up and everything as it was
Oh,
happening in the show, and I thought that was fascinating, and it was like it was really getting me into the moment of the episode.
wow. All right. I'm actually kind of excited to hear this track, so do send that to me.
No.
No, he's not going to. This is actually one thing I've tried to do real quick too, is try to find online the music used on Ghost Hunters, but I can't find it anywhere. So I'm kind of sad about that. I'm hoping
Hopefully
if we manage to scrape an audience together here, someone knows, or maybe Jason, please.
Jason will never watch this, by the way. Jason will never watch this, and if he does, he will go, I think that little dog looks ugly. I hope he says that verbatim.
Yeah, his dog Maddie, who we haven't been introduced to yet, would dwarf me in capabilities here.
Hopefully, with Jason in watching this podcast from beginning to end, he will agree with us that please, please, no more orbs after this episode. I was like, get rid of that.
Yeah. Dude. Why do they keep trying so hard with these orbs? I can't believe that we're 5 to 6 episodes in here on this season, and we still have to get the message, man. The orbs are not interesting. Even Jason and Grant himself both say they're not reliable enough. We don't care to see them. Every time they send them, it just immediately gets dismissed. And they still keep trying. I like
Those
Brian. I'm glad he's passionate, but he's also too passionate about his orb evidence.
his gorbs are coming out of the woodwork.
Brian, please.
The fence cannot escape from these gorbs.
Exactly. This is
Well,
disgusting.
for my last thing before you get into whatever you wanna get into anything, I will say I think this is a 10 out of 10 episode for me. I had a lot of fun. There's so
I'm
many
glad.
good moments. There's so much going on. I do think maybe I could bring it down with the drama that was happening. 'Cause
Yeah.
I myself don't care about the drama, but I get it. It's a show.
Yeah, it's a mid-2000s TV show. They are trying to capture a lot of audience right now to get the show on its feet and stabilize its viewership and everything. Did you still have more to mention?
No, just get rid of the Gorbers.
Yeah, these please get rid of them. My number review. You're probably going to be surprised by this. I give this episode like a 7 to 7.5 maybe. If we can do halves, otherwise just 7.
Yeah, please don't do halves. Just say 75 out of 100.
Okay, 75 out of 100. I'll give it like a 70. 70 out of, you know what? It's a 7 out of 10. I'm just going to go with that. Get over it. Cry about it in your sleep. Pretty low review, I would say, for this episode, especially with how much I hype it up. But it is a good episode. It's a great episode. I don't think I would rate. I don't even know what I gave previous episodes in our.
All 2s. They're all been 2s so far.
Okay, good. Okay, so the Lighthouse one is like a 4 or 5. If I were to ever re-rate it, I want to reapproach how I rate this now that we're starting to get into this here. This episode is a 7. Why not a 10? Too much of the gorb, too much of the drama. God, it just makes it suck. But it provides as well.
So, this episode is like a 7. Last episode's a 4. The bonus double episode with 2 places, you gave like a 0.
Yeah, that was totally worth this episode.
What are the episodes before that?
Well, that would be 4 episodes if I'm recalling. Let me pull up my.
So then it would be the pilot
in here. Yeah, Altoona, PA, the haunted home. I did like that episode. I liked it. I would probably give that one a 5 or a 6. It was a good pilot.
Yeah, if we're gonna be re-ranking them, I'll try to put them on the screen. I think it would literally be like a 5. The bonus double episode, I'd probably give a 2. The Lighthouse would be a like a 6 probably, and this is a 10. It'll probably go down, but I love this.
Really quick here for your editing's sake, let me just do a quick master of it. Episode 1, Altoona, PA, the home, 6 out of 10. Episode 2, the Mishler Theater, as well as another one I think it was the Mishler Theater only. 2 out of 10. Episode 3, the Lighthouse Inn and the Johnstone Tavern, 1. Episode 4, the Race Rock Lighthouse. Good episode. I'd probably give that a 4, I think I said. And episode 5 here, Eastern State Penitentiary so far, 7. A 7 out of 10.
Fantastic. I'm happy.
There you go.
This is a good show. It's ramping up. I'm genuinely like really excited to keep going with this, and I want to see the better episodes that you're saying is coming up in the next seasons or whatever.
If so, we're halfway. Actually, watching this episode, we finished halfway through season 1. It's only 10 episodes, the first season. I do want to say real quick before we wrap this one up. On top of it being a 7 out of 10 for the reasons I provided, the coming episodes. Now that we're at the halfway point, the coming episodes, I think there's maybe 1 good episode left in the season. So the other 4 are just kind of, or 5 are kind of meh. Sorry, it's 4. Besides, subtracting the one that's actually good. And that's going to be episode 7.
Okay.
So that one's going to be a good one. But I am really excited. The seasons that I'm most excited to show you is season 3. And I think there's season 3 through 5, even 6 actually. I think it's season 3 through 6. Those are some of I would say actually they are the best seasons in the entire show. Seasons 1 through 2 are they're a good start, and as you said, the show does pick up a little bit here in the midway point of season 1, but it's not going to be until the latter half of season 2 that we really start to get back into the good episodes again. So, at least a long list of them. So get ready. Get ready for that. I know that this. How long is our podcast on here for this episode already? Over an hour?
Yeah, it's an hour and 7 for the recording, but it'll probably be like 55 minutes, if I would guess.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. It's a good episode. It's just I don't know if we're gonna have as long of an episode until after I'm predicting this, so we'll see if it's real or not. But I'm predicting we will not have another long episode of the podcast until we start to get into the really good shows starting in season 2.
Every episode after this is going to be 3 minutes long.
Dude, I'm telling you, there are good episodes to watch in season 1, like 3 or 4. But out of the 10 episodes that are in this season, it's a pilot, all right. It's a pilot season, all right.
Well, thank you, Borky.
Well, thank you for this podcast idea, and I love this show. I'm passionate for this show, and I like the community behind it. Even as a skeptic, I think it's just fun. It's exciting to watch. It leaves me feeling a certain way. So being able to share it with somebody who's also interested in this kind of thing is exciting, and I'm glad that I got to show you now my first top what I would consider a really good episode for a season. As we start to roll into the boring parts now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually hate this show, and we're not going to do this podcast anymore, just because you said
All right. It's been a good run.
It's been a good run. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Yeah, later.